Women of Reddit. What makes men instantly unattractive? Poor hygiene. Putting other people down to make them seem better than others. It doesn't. Try to make the other person feel dumb. Dude, even if they are dumb, why you gotta behave like that? When you talk about something you're passionate about and they don't listen or say it's a stupid hobby, immediately makes me not like them. Self-centered behavior that points to lack of empathy and respect. Lack of effort in a relationship. Be that romantic, workplace, friendship. A loudmouth. What main character did not deserve a happy ending? Jordan Belfort. Both in The Wolf of Wall Street and in real life. Got rich scamming people for years and then got a slap on the wrist because he snitched on all his partners and subordinates. Virtually everyone around Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. Especially Santa Claus. And after all that abuse, Rudolph still happily saves Christmas with his nose? He should have nosedived that sleigh into the side of a fucking mountain. From Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack stole a stranger's valuables and then murdered him. Paris, from Troy. Fuck him. Hector was far superior. Really wish Paris had died instead. Bran. I kept wondering why he didn't use his magic powers to map out the enemy. They could have had 2 dragons dropping large rocks on the Lannister forces from well out of Scorpion Range. Reddit had a crayon diagram showing how. But instead he let all the bad shit happen so he could be the king. I also think he warged Tyrion to say that, who has a better story than Bran, crap. O'Brien from Downton Abbey. She was horrible and conniving to everyone. Tripped Mr. Bates and set in motion Cora's trip and fall miscarriage, yet got her dream job. She should have been sacked without a reference and forced to take jobs scrubbing floors. What is an annoying game mechanic that needs to be scrapped from games? Too long cutscenes, animations when you die and try again. Celeste was amazing as you respawn instantly and can try again. Gran Turismo 7 when you have to retry a license test for the 40th time and have to watch the car for 3 seconds before the 3-second countdown starts. It gets old very quick. Just restart me with 1 second to go. No point in the whole cinematic countdown. Unskippable tutorials. If I want to replay a game, just maybe let me get to the game and not force me to redo all the, these are the game mechanics in the beginning, please. Pointless crafting. Overly complex systems that make it impossible to compare to items to determine which is better, without running some third-party simulation. I always hated having to go to an NPC to get the mission to get a key on the other side of the map. So you could open that flimsy wooden door that you probably could have just kicked in. Characters that move faster than your walk but slower than your run. What is something a woman does better than a man? Skincare. My wife is in her 40s and has the skin of a teenager. So much lotion. So worth it. Asking for help in general. Regardless of that being in the hardware store. Directions. Lifting a heavy object or in need to talk with someone. Men often spend hours looking for what they need in the hardware store. Driving around lost. Break their backs or kill themselves after being depressed and not asking for help. Flexibility. Women have better balance due to our lower center of gravity. Being able to tell if another woman has makeup or other enhancements. Sounds catty, but it's true. My husband told me that an actress had really long eyelashes the other day. I didn't want to point it out, but natural lashes don't look like spiders hanging out on your eyes. Everything, according to my wife. What is a lazy thing you began doing when you realized you can live with it? When I use the microwave, I'll heat food for 111 or 222 because I can't be bothered to move my lazy fingers. Also, I listen to a lot of podcasts because I'm usually too lazy to read. Edit. For those asking, my favorite podcasts right now are Betrayal, American Hostage, and Overleaper. I have no microwave advice. Just eating food straight out of the pan. I was taught to make a bed properly as a child. I swear I was. Hospital corners and everything. I even know how to fold a fitted sheet. Thanks to my auntie, who's an Air Force nurse and therefore doesn't consider little problems like non-Euclidean geometry to be a reason not to do it properly. The second I found out about duvet covers, that was over. Sure, it doesn't look as tidy, but 5 minutes a week plus 10 seconds in the morning instead of 10 minutes a day? I can live with that. I stopped ironing clothes when COVID lockdown started. Whenever I clean the house, I put on my housecoat with really big pockets. I just walk from room to room and put things in my pocket that don't belong in that room. Once my pockets are full, I go to each room and empty my pockets, putting what is from each room in that room. I don't fold laundry anymore. I have a system of laundry baskets. Like this. https i.pnmg.com/originals/c0/85/c03c85f793435904 Fee 11 eb 11 d 24757.jpg. Where clothes get sorted by type. Pants, t-shirts, sweaters, etc. Most of my clothes is wrinkle-free. And for the few pieces that aren't, I just throw them on a hanger in the bathroom while I take a steamy shower. Former cult members. What opened your eyes? Not exactly a cult, but I used to be a member of Campus Crusade for Christ. Sometimes called CRU or CCC. It's a Christian men's organization popular on many college campuses. And operated like a cult. An NBSP. I went to a Methodist school and it wasn't super Christian or anything. An ordinary college really. But CRU was something different. It had a lot of respect among campus management and local pastors because it was Christian. But a bad reputation among students who weren't into that stuff. I still remember it vividly, freshman year. First week of college. Going to the organization fair because I was excited to join some kind of club or something. I guess I looked lost or alone. And someone who wasn't with any of the regular clubs approached me and started talking about this men's club. Being that I was a practicing Catholic at the time, I decided to try it out. First meeting, they talked about nothing other than masturbation and how evil it was. Just met these people and first thing they ask is how frequently I jack off. After several meetings, I'll admit they had me feeling really bad about myself. Convinced I was just an awful and depraved person. In hindsight, I think this was similar to what we call incels and nofap today. They wanted to control every aspect of my life, only associate with other members of CRU. Always let CRU know where you're going and who you're with. You had to show your laptop's browser history. And it had better not be cleared at each meeting. And definitely no association with women for any reason. And for a while, I actually did all this. They just made me feel so bad about myself. Ashamed. And after some reflection, I realized the only people encouraging me to hate myself was CRU. And now I know that's a means of cult retention. I didn't start calling myself an atheist until many years later. But in hindsight, my experience with CRU was the first time I saw religion as being harmful. An NBSP. And in later years I realized, that's how they prey on naive and impressionable kids. They get them in before they've had a chance to make other friends. I was exactly the gullible fool they were scouting for. The president of the club was only a student by technicality. He never graduated and just takes the minimum number of classes to be considered a student. He just stays in college to run that club. And was in his 30s. In my later years of college, many of us experienced cases of losing friends to CRU. Once they joined that You wouldn't hear from them again unless they left the club. From what I hear, it also runs into money after a while. Like a lot of money. And it works kind of like a pyramid scheme. Times when I felt safe and had free time long enough to think about questions I was told I shouldn't think about. Started listening to the cult. Sometimes cult members know full well they're in a cult from the beginning. But they're powerless to resist or escape. Have a look at https. Elon. School for an example. XJew here. I was really devoted to my beliefs. I knocked on doors 70 hours a month. Read the Bible along with the books the church provides. I was a perfect JW church guy. In my early 20s I started doubting little things like how they control so many aspects of our lives, like what we wear, what media we consume, and who our friends are. I had been working in retail for a while, and for all the hundreds of people I worked with, I knew for a fact that they were every bit as loving, compassionate, and intelligent as the best witnesses I knew. That led me to deconstruct major doctrine, including the monopoly to salvation. Witnesses believe that Armageddon is very imminent, any day now, and only baptized active witnesses will survive. God and his angels are going to kill everyone else, 99.9% of humanity, while the witnesses get to live forever in a perfectly curated paradise earth. This really wasn't sitting well with me. After a couple years of asking elders, consulting literature the organization published, and even writing into headquarters, and having no satisfying answers, I finally started doing research outside of the organization. Something witnesses might call apostate research. Witnesses believe that anyone who criticizes the organization is an apostate, the ultimate expression of Satan's influence in the world. Just viewing the info almost destroyed my marriage, until she woke up and left with me. As I was reading all about the experiences of other ex-witnesses, a light bulb went off. Of course I'm in a cult. How did I not know? Quote, wife and I both left and have been rebuilding our lives ever since. Had to make all new friends, of course. The inability to ask questions. The more I wanted to know, the more I seemed to end up in hot water. Finally, one day it just sort of hit me. I realized that when I was asking questions, which I thought were innocent enough, it turns out I was questioning their legitimacy. It all sort of made sense after that, and I decided to ditch M. Subscribe, my brothers.